And with my new chapter, the story of Proserpine. Long, long ago, in a beautiful island of Sicily, there lived a goddess called Ceres. She was a goddess of crops, plants, and trees, so on her depended the health and happiness of all the people of that wide world. Greece had a fair daughter, Proserpine, whom she loved more than her life. Proserpine, Proserpine was the brightest and the loveliest of all girls. Her cheeks were rosy and beautiful like an apple blossom in spring. Her eyes were as blue as sky in the April. Her long golden curls were as bright as sunlight in the springtime. All the radiant loveliness of springtime seemed to have taken the form of this fair maiden. Everybody said that she is a spring. Proserpine helped her mother in the field. With her young companions, she danced and sang with gathering flowers. Far down the earth there lived dark Pluto, king of the land of dead. He had often asked some goddess to come and live with him, but no goddess was willing to live among the dead, so Pluto was very lonely. One day, Pluto came to the earth and was driving along with his swift chariot. Behind some bushes, he heard voices and laughter. He was curious. He stopped there with the chariot and walked to the bushes. There he saw Pros- uh, Proserpine laughing and playing with her companions, who formed a circle round her. Pluto was charmed at the sight of this lovely maiden. He looked at Proserpine and thought, I must make her my queen. Her bright face will make even my dark kingdom look bright and beautiful. But he knew that it could not be useless to ask the maiden to his queen. So he stepped into the circle and carried to her to see the carrier. The companion of Proserpine was frightened and filled with all direction. Pluto departed with the captive maiden in his chariot. He drove very fast. He was afraid that Proserpine's mother Ceres would sooner appear there in search of his daughter. After some time, Pluto came to the bank of river. The river was full of brim, and he could not drive through the water. To go into another direction would means loss of time. So with the scepter he struck the ground. The ground opened at once and chariot, horse, and all plunged into darkness below. Just as the ground was closing over her, Proserpine seized her girdle and threw it far out into the river. She thought that the girdle might reach Ceres and her mother would be able to reach her lost daughter. Unit 2. In the evening, Ceres came back home. She did not find a daughter who usually came running to meet her. This had never been happened before. Ceres was greatly surprised and a little worried. She searched for her in all the rooms, but they were all empty. Then she lighted a torch from the fire of volcano and wandered among the field and valley looking for Proserpine. The search went on the whole night, and in the morning her grief knew no bounds. There, that very day, Cyrus began a long journey. She wandered over land and sea, over hills and valleys for a day together. She neglected all her work on earth. As a result, the crops failed everywhere. The ground became dry and barren. Famine broke out all over the world. It seemed that the earth grieved that grieving mother. The people were starving. They came to Cyrus and implored her to bring back plenty and save their lives. Cyrus lifted her sad face, weary with ceaseless wandering, and said, I cannot take care of the earth until I get my lost daughter. So the people thought of praying to Jupiter, who was the king of God, and to Jupiter they sent their prayers to bring Proserpine back to her mother. They were sadly in need of Ceres' help. Ceres wandered all over the earth and came to at last to Sicily. One day, when she was passing by the river, waves carried something to her feet. She picked up objects and saw it was a cradle of a daughter. Cyrus looked at it carefully again and again. Tears filled her eyes and streamed down her pale cheeks. She suddenly seemed to her hear a voice coming from nearby fountain. The voice grew clearly every moment as it said, Cirrus, great mother to the earth, I am the Mente of the mountain. I live in the dark depth of the earth, and I have seen your daughter on the throne of the kingdom of Pluto. And her cheeks were pale and her eyes were heavy with weeping. Go to Jupiter and pray to him to send her back to you. Do not grieve any more. With these words, the men seemed to leap downwards the sun and sky. Ceres now came to Jupiter and said, I have found the place where my daughter is. Please give her back to me, and I shall once more make the earth fruitful and green as it is. Jupiter was deeply moved by the mother's sorrow and was also by the prayer of the people on the earth. He thought that for a while and said, Proserpine may return to the earth if she has not tasted any fruit in Pluto kingdom. Ceres quickly descended into the land of death, but alas, that very day Proserpine has eaten 6 pomegranate seeds, and for every one of those seeds she has designated each year to spend a month in the realm of dead. For 6 months every year Proserpine would come back to her mother. When she did so, flower blossomed, birds sang, and the earth smiled to welcome the young queen. But when the time came to Proserpine to rejoin Pluto in the dark underground kingdom, Ceres would begin to grieve for 6 months. The earth too would look sad and gloomy. The trees would shed their leaves. The flowers too would hide underground until they heard anything the gentle football of Proserpine returning to earth. Thank you.